Good morning. All right, let's try that one more time. Good morning. Oh, okay. So I wasn't sure if this was on. Welcome to 1 Million Cups. 1 Million Cups is an educational program that the Kauffman Foundation puts on. I'm up here. My name is Brian Azorski. I'm up here with Courtney, Britton, and Milton. We're your community organizers. If you have any questions about the program, if you're interested in presenting, if you'd like to be one of our panelists at some point, please let one of us know. We'd love to have you. So before we get things started, I'd like to know who's here for the first time. Raise your hand. Great turnout. Thank you for coming through the flooding and the rain. I hope that wasn't too much trouble for you. I tried to sweep up as much as I could. We're going to start out with we have an announcement from the 1 in a Million competition, so we're going to show you a quick video.
We're looking for 1 in a million. What does 1 in a million look like? Have you ever seen it? Does it look like this? Or this? If you've ever presented at a 1 Million Cups gathering held every week in more than 70 locations across the country, then maybe 1 in a million looks like you. This year, for the first time ever, open exclusively for 1 Million Cups entrepreneurs, the 1 in a Million Startup Showdown will be a featured event during Global Entrepreneurship Week. 1 in a Million was created to provide educational resources to entrepreneurs and showcase some of the stellar startups in the 1 Million Cups community. 15 finalists will be selected to come to the Ewing Marion Kauffman Foundation in Kansas City on November 17th and 18th, where they will receive coaching and gain valuable insights to sharpen their startups. The top 5 startups will be selected to take the stage for a first-of-its-kind Wednesday morning presentation that will be streamed live to all 1 Million Cup sites across the country. The winning startup takes home $10,000. Here's what you need to know. Your startup must have presented at a 1 Million Cups before August 2nd, 2015. Your startup must be younger than 5 years old and based in the United States. Your startup should have plans to grow with a scalable and disruptive business model. Don't wait to submit your company for this nationwide competition. 1 in a Million will accept applications through August 7th. That's it. Actually, there's more to it than that, so visit us on the web to learn more about how your startup can become 1 in a million.
Great, thank you. So that is open up to anybody who's presented before, and I have a quick question. Is there a limit to how many people can apply? Is there like a million, no more than a million people can apply? Is that? Billion. Good to hear, okay. Well, first of all, who's presented before here? Got a handful of people, great, excellent. All right, so you guys are, if you're in the US, you're good to go. All right, I'd like to introduce our expert panel. Mark, grab the mic and tell us who you are.
I don't need the mic. Sure. My name is Mark Allen. I am a business management consultant with UMKC, the Small Business and Technology Development Center, which is across at 4747 Troost. And what we do there is we work with businesses that are interested in starting and growing and succeeding, mostly succeeding. And so we're here as a resource for you. I have a background in business. I actually own several businesses now also. And so I have a lot of experience with failure. And failure is the route to success. Because if you think about when you burned your hand as a child, you learned not to do it anymore. So having a lot of experience as a counselor with people who have experienced both success and failure, have learned that you get your best lessons from trying. And so I applaud everybody that's here. I applaud the presenters today for doing all that. And I'm here to be helpful, hopefully. And I'm going to introduce my good friend, Grant Gooding.
Well, thank you, Mark. Mark's a great mentor, by the way, if you guys have small and growing businesses. My name is Grant Gooding. I have a company called Proof Positioning that Courtney runs because she's much smarter than me. We help entrepreneurs take the guesswork out of how to differentiate themselves in their market and build a category and thereby a powerful brand. My area of expertise is in brand positioning. My background is in mergers and acquisitions. I'm also an expert appraiser, so that's hard to bleed out of my brain, which might come out here a little bit. But good luck to everyone. Thank you for coming.
Great. Thank you, gentlemen. All right, let's get things started. We've got Jim and Mark with Perfect Cube. Let's give them a hand. Here we go.
Okay, I'm Mark, this is Jim.
I'm Jim.
You're gonna see that more in a minute. But let's pretend that everybody here wants to open a gelato shop. Gelato all of a sudden becomes the rage across America. Everybody can't get enough. It's a great business opportunity. So what do you think would be the best day, the best kind of weather to sell gelato? Sunshine, that's gelato weather, and that's conventional wisdom. What we realized is it really depends on what the weather is. It depends on a lot of different factors, but especially your location. Are you in an enclosed mall like we are, where people come to get away from the weather? Or are you in an outdoor space where people want to be in the weather? Is it the kind of day where people want to be outside, or is it the kind of day where you want to be indoors? And how do you know what kind of effect that's going to have on your business? We discovered today is a great gelato day for our store. What we learned in opening a retail store, you saw our background was in data. We opened a retail store. We had no idea what we were doing. Just because you're successful in one area doesn't mean you can be successful in the other. We had a big learning curve, and we could not get to the data that we needed to effectively run our store. So we started collecting it, and we built what ended up being Perfect Cube. What we learned is several years ago, data wasn't available to small retailers, but now it is. We call it data disruption. All of these things that you see are key points of all retailers, especially small retailers, and they all have data available now. They all have affordable tools that you can get data from. You know, 5 years ago when we started the retail store, that wasn't the case. There's also a much greater market awareness among retailers that they need to do something with data, but they don't know exactly what or how to do it. So when we started Perfect Cube, we thought, well, we're gonna build a tool for us and apply it to other people as well. What we learned is there is a big data company in retail, in food specifically, called Food Genius, and their founder is Justin Massa. And when we were at the NRA show, I went to his presentation. NRA is National Restaurant Association.
Clarify
it's
that.
the other NRA. And he had this quote about the fact, and this is pretty much word for word what he said, and it was off the cuff. It's not anything that's in print. But I told him that is the exact reason why we exist, because they only work with large chains. But the vast majority of retailers are much smaller, and they don't know how to do what they need to do.
So to get back, you know, we really had kind of targeted in our market. And a little history, if you didn't see from the video, you know, when we started Intelligent, it was Mark and I. We were a bootstrap startup that we grew to 50 employees. And we went through lots of pivots, lots of failures and stuff as we got there. But one of the things that we did is we really identified our market early on. And that was, you know, you start with financial services, which is a huge market. You know, lots of big players, Merrill Lynch, Edward Jones. But we found under that there was this independent financial advisor channel that was really kind of underserved and did that. So we targeted, we focused in that market. We pivoted half a dozen times on what we offered, but we stayed on that market. It's a very similar thing what we're doing with this is, so we've identified a market. We're looking at small retail shops, small franchise systems. The restaurant industry is huge. I saw one report that says it's going to be a $2 trillion industry by 2025. It's about a $700 billion industry right now. But you get under that and you start finding all these small companies. I mean, there are 400,000 retail stores that have less than 20 employees. There's about 2,400 franchise systems that have less than 100 units in it. And you know, specifically like coffee shops, there's 20,000 coffee shops. 6,000 of them are mom and pop. And that's what we're wanting to serve. We're wanting to really help create those companies that can compete. Because you know, we all love Starbucks, but I'm sure we'd rather see, you know, the Dalmaeus, the Mildreds, the Black Dogs succeeding and going and opening up more locations. And that's our target. We're wanting to bring in, help those companies compete on a better scale so they can compete against the larger companies and everything else with them. So go to market. So, we'll get in branding. I'm sure Grant will drill down on us and everything else. So we come from an experience that we are experienced. We've not only owned one gelato shop, we've actually owned a couple of them. So we are in the retail. We bring that expertise to it. We've identified a lot of partners that we can work with. Square is one of our big ones. They have partner pages that we can jump in with and do. The National Restaurant Association, to our shock, was really an extremely supportive. They are really pushing startups. They're doing their own Startup Alley at their big conference, and they're really wanting to help smaller companies serve their industry. So we think they can be good partners and everything else with it. And then what we want to do, anytime go to market, as we said, Guy Kawasaki gets into create a better reality. What we want to have is offer really strong value to those small retailers. We have a product that we think is priced affordable, easy to use, that will bring meaningful data, actionable data, useful data, and help those small businesses not only survive, which is tough to do as a small retail, but to thrive. So right now, where we're at, just so you know, give it his of this round. So right now, we've built our initial version. We actually have our V2 underway. We're starting to get preview customers on that V1 of it. We're surveying and getting more information as we build out the product. Our goal is to go in fourth quarter to actually launch live and start getting paying customers, which is a great concept, onto it and really take off from there. We've already done our first round of funding, so we've secured our seed funding, which, helpful of having our history, which allowed us to do that at a pre-revenue type point. So right now we're just starting to build out our team and move forward with our fourth quarter launch.
And that's pretty much it, except I will say for future presenters, use this button on a Prezi, not this button. Okay,
Great advice. Thank you, gentlemen. Great job. All right, let's start off with our expert panel. Grant, I see you have the microphone.
Uh-oh.
This is really great, guys. Your strategy here you've laid out is obviously very macro, right? But you can tell you've done this before because it's simple and it won't backfire and it won't cost you that much, right? Relationship, strategic partnership type of an approach. I have a few functional questions and a few conceptual questions. Like from a conceptual perspective, first of all, what does perfect cube mean? Not that that's terribly important, but
It doesn't really have, it's a word I thought up a long time ago, and it's not very original. There's other companies around.
Kinda cool,
Perfectcube.com has
though.
been taken for a long time.
it's kind of cool.
Part of it, our initial focus is working with Square. Customers that are using Square. It's a big primary market. So Perfect Cube is a little bit of play off of, it's a 6-facet square.
Okay.
So,
Yeah. It's
So-
actually taken from the Bible. The book of Revelation describes the eventual, city, and the new city or whatever. That's like the ultimate.
Okay,
and
you
they
just
describe it
said
as
a second
perfect
ago,
cube.
we really didn't put that much thought into this. And now there's a whole story. So more importantly, what's the value proposition, right? So like we have big data for small retail, okay? So that's kind of a little bit of a category. But I'm looking at, you've done a great job, I think, narrowing the market and saying, hey, look, here's a gap, and that leads to a couple other functional questions, I think. But what's a value proposition that when you're talking to these small retailers?
So really what we're pushing, what we're calling is the 1% solution, that we will bring data analytics to them in an easy use format that's affordable. We're doing a SaaS model, so we're looking at really a $40 to $50 a month type target pricing for that. And what we're showing them is that we can help them increase their top line sales by 1%, decrease their labor costs by 1%, and decrease their COGS by 1%, their cost of goods. You apply that to a typical coffee shop, it saves them about $4,000 a year.
Emotionally, right? When you sell them this, what are they saying? Because you have emotionally and you have functional, right? So like, are these even though they're small, are they still looking for enterprise level systems? Are they looking for something to do everything? And do you plug into that? Like, are you aggregating data that exists from if they're using Squirrel or something?
Right. Yes, we are aggregating their data that they take in. You know, the emotional pull is when you get into it. You know, small business owners, most of them have gotten into it. You know, let's take coffee shop owners because they love coffee. You know, they want to do this and everything else. They're not necessarily into all the numbers and the analytics and do that, but they understand the need for that. And the more they get into it, the more they understand the need for it. They also understand emotionally that the larger companies are using analytics to compete against them better and everything else. So the emotional pull is that we're helping bridge a gap and close the gap of one of the few things that a Starbucks may competitively have over them, in addition to some branding and some other things with it. But anymore in today's world, you can put all the same technology tools in. You can really get your cost of goods almost the same. Analytics is one of the few separators right now with that. So we're emotionally pulling off of that they know they need it, and we can provide it for them in an easy-to-use format with the data that they currently have.
It's a similar strategy we did with Etelligent. With Etelligent, we were focused on independent registered investment advisors instead of we didn't work with the Morgan Stanleys or the Goldman Sachs, but a lot of those people that were our clients had left shops like that but didn't have the tools anymore that they needed to run their business. So we were building tools for them. It's similar strategy with Perfect Cube where, like I said, with market awareness, a lot of people know they need this stuff. They know they should be doing something with it. They just don't really have the capability to do it themselves.
So understand your pricing model. Tell me about how revenue is going to ramp up.
How revenue is going to ramp up, how
Yeah,
fast?
what are you going to have for revenues in 3 years?
In 3 years, we think we can get to $10 million.
Cool.
Based on the market size and just the fact that we offer a good value proposition to them.
Right. Can you prove to retailers that this works? Have you done this at Pachuco?
We did it at our own store.
We did it in our own store. Yeah, obviously we need to get more customers on to do the proof. I've got some others. I've got some stats that show my 1% solution. If I look at there are a few data analytics companies, most of them serving really the large ones, and most of them target that they can save about 2.5% on virtually everything that I said. So I think our 1% solution is actually a really low number, and there is some industry support to back that. We obviously don't have a large enough customer base yet to do that, but we think it won't take us long to get there to really throw that number out.
You guys obviously like working at kiosks and malls. So what's your exit strategy from Perfect Cube?
What we did with Etelligent was we were partnered with Charles Schwab. We were the largest licensee of their data crunching software that we use just to calculate the information. And so when they came looking for somebody to buy, we were a natural next step. That's really what we want to position ourselves with Perfect Cube as well. Square is our initial target because we use it, and Square Register has millions of users, like they said, and a lot of them aren't going to qualify, but a good number will. So if Square could buy us, absolutely. We want to be one of their biggest partners so that it would be a natural next step because they don't want to spend the money developing what we have. Any other vendor, there's a ton of vendors in the, especially in just the food-based industry, much less the entire retail industry, that either do not have business analytics yet or they're trying to get there, but they're not there yet.
There's been some big
It
plays.
seems like a huge market. So I have one last question. So if this is the perfect day to sell gelato, exactly what time should I be at Oak Park Mall to buy your stuff today?
2 o'clock, from 2 to 3 o'clock.
I say we're open now. If you want to leave as soon as we're done, you can go buy gelato. And we got great coffee too.
All right, we're gonna open it up to the audience, but I know we have probably some coffee shop owners, possibly some small retailers. So if you guys have a question, it'll be very relevant. But let's go ahead and start with Milton, please.
Interesting concept, but I do wonder about how fast and how well you can grow. Did you say you thought you were in the $20 to $40 per month range?
$40 to $50 a month.
Okay.
Lower price.
So to get to $10 million, what does that
Well, and
multiply
part of,
out in terms of locations that you would be serving?
Right. Well, you get into a couple numbers because one, as we said, we really have kind of 3 target markets. One is those retailers, and I think the number I grow that to is about 7,000 actually individual retail users in 10 years to do that. That sounds like a big number. We were shocked when we went into how many different providers in the restaurant industry had 100,000, 150,000, 500,000 users in a few years. It's a big market. So a 7,000 number is actually a really small piece of the pie with it. Our second two parts of that, though, is also that small franchise unit is a biggie. You know, you take 2,400 small franchises. I think I grow that number to about 100 franchise systems that use it. And then we also have a lot of the multi-users, so even people that run Sonics. We were shocked. We thought, well, surely Sonic offers these great tools. Yum offers these great tools. They really don't. Most of these providers are building their own tools in-house, or they're trying to find something third-party. So we think there's a large market and even the big national change with people that are operating 20, 30 units. So.
In order to ramp up fast, we've made the sign-up process really quick so that you can get to our website and see your data, you know, in our format, in our business analytics, within about 3 minutes. You don't have to call us, you don't have to touch us.
No touching. Okay, that's a good,
Yeah.
that's a good sales
Yeah.
proposition. All right, we got a question here.
Gentlemen, I'm a huge supporter of data because without data, you can't make any decisions.
Right.
Tell me how you can help the business owner then, once they get the data, know what to do with it. Because there are a ton of people that you can give them this wonderful printout.
Right.
It's got lots of data, and they go, I have no idea what
Right.
to do. So tell me about that aspect of the business, please.
Let me tell you this. Our kind of vision that we gave, Criminal is doing our kind of V2 development for us right now. And when we had our initial meeting with them, what we told them was, if we end up with a dashboard, we failed. This is not a dashboard. Dashboards assume you have a level of knowledge that you know what to look for. You either know what to add, or you know what's meaningful. This is a business analytic tool. So it's going to tell retailers what's important and why it's important, and potentially what they can do about it as well. So if their ratios of, you know, sales to their square space, or sales to rent, sales to labor, any other kind of, you know, tons of metrics and ratios that we have built in there, we're gonna tell them that. We're not gonna let them assume that.
Doing predictive analysis, so they can really project what their sales are going to look like, so they can schedule their labor, that they can schedule their inventory, they can do everything else with it. We've already been playing with those algorithms, really tying it down and everything else with it. So actionable data, that's why I said we've decided we aren't real fans of the term big data because it's really very ambiguous, but actionable data is what we're going for.
So that's a really good question, and could be an additional charge or ancillary revenue stream. Hint, hint. Because they're
Yeah.
not
I'd say
very good
there's
at it.
always options for ancillary revenue streams, and whatever value you can deliver. I mean, part of what we learned at Etelligent is we didn't always realize what we had until we had it, and sometimes our customers told us, oh, this is of great value. You know, what we ended up selling to Charles Schwab was something that our customers early on had come to us and said, you need to do this because, you know, we don't want to do it anymore. And that was a tremendous value. So one of the things I've learned is listen to your customers. Know what, you know, see what they're telling you, see what they're doing, and don't assume that we're always smarter than they are.
One of the things that I'm trying to wrap my head around here as I'm thinking about how you're positioned in the market is the conversation that you have to have when you're talking to a business owner that already has a POS system that's not broken, right? This is a supplemental product for them.
Yes.
But the POS system that they have already does analytics. It already breaks data. It already puts timing on things. Like a lot of these analytics already exist. So how are you going to differentiate yourself both conceptually and like be able to look at the details and say, okay, we do this and your POS doesn't do that? How do you plan on tackling that problem?
You know, there's probably 150 different POS systems out there, maybe more. We were shocked at how many we saw at the NRA show. And some of them do data analytics, and more of them will add it. The challenge is they don't pull in external data. They only use, you know, to my knowledge, everyone I've seen so far pulls in a tool that they build. So if you use their point of sale and you want to get labor data too, you have to use their clock in and clock out system or their payroll system. Square's building something similar right now. And their data is like we were talking about before, it's static. So it's pretty much, they're going to tell you a limited number because they're developing for a wide, broad market. And they may do food, they may do clothing, they may do all sorts of different retail.
Got a question here in the middle.
Yes.
Good morning. My name's Holmes Osborne. I understand your old business because I'm an RIA on Schwab's platform, and I understand your new business because I used to own a restaurant. So I've got two questions about your system.
Okay.
One is the problem with the point of service systems is that they lock you into a contract.
Right.
And thank God I never got locked into one because the restaurant business is extremely hard, and you don't want to be locked into a 2 or 3 year contract if your restaurant doesn't make it. Do you lock your clients into a contract?
No, absolutely not.
Okay, well, that's one big advantage over point of service system, because the ones I talked to locked you into a contract.
And it's the same, and then we had that with Intelligent too. We didn't actually lock our clients into there, which was really rare in that industry with it. But so not only do we not lock them in, but it's their data if they want to move it. And we also give them flexibility, like let's say, well, we're on one POS system, but we want to move. As long as we're feeding the data into the system, we keep their data and their history and everything else. So we give them some flexibility to even move the POS systems and not lose their data and not have to go through big expensive conversions.
Second question, maybe you mentioned this, I'm not a tech guy, but does this system jive with labor, like Paychex and other payroll systems, and does it jive with bank accounts, or is that kind of not what you're trying to do,
It is what we're trying to do. We're not, I mean, we're obviously in early development. So right now we are really working with POS data, but we have a whole list of all of our different data sources to pull in and build out as we continue to do this. So yes, the plan is, and labor is actually the next one on the whiteboard right now that's being worked on, is to bring in the labor data and bring in QuickBooks data and everything else with that. And but the challenge with it is, and again, it's any small business, is staying focused. We met with someone that airport concessions is a huge thing. So like, can you bring in flight data? I'm like, well, absolutely, we can bring in flight data, but we've got to work that into our development schedule and everything else to do that with it. So a little bit staying focused, because there's probably 1,000 different data sources that we could pull in. So it's really identifying the key ones and build it, and then just keep building it out.
Thank you so much. One final question, and that is, as a community, what can we do to help you?
Yeah, so right now, really our two biggest needs, as we said, we are taking on preview customers. So if you are a retail owner or you know some that would like to come in and just test out the system and give feedback, we would love that. And then the second thing is, as he'd mentioned, we're using CriminalLab right now, and we've actually done some overseas outsourcing and different things, but we are starting to build our team. We've lined up, actually, our funding's all coming in this month, so we're starting to build out our team. So if you know developers, data scientists, or are one, please let us know, because we're looking forward to doing that. So
thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Before we do our announcements, we wanted to just take a quick moment here and acknowledge some of our guests. We wanted to do something cool for you guys since you come out and support us all the time. So we've started the 1 Million Cups Mugs Club. So first question, how many of you have been here 10 times or more? Wow, a lot of hands. A lot of mugs. Yes, absolutely. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to start with you. Do you want to come on up to the stage? What we're going to do is have you just say hello, introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about why you love 1 Million Cups. Other hands. Let's have you come on up. And I saw Nicole earlier. Where are you? Come on up.
Hi, well,
Actually going to have you use this mic.
I'm Joe Paiva from GeoLearn, and I presented here sometime early part of this year, I guess. I started attending about two months before that. In fact, it was at the first 1 Million Cups where we had panelists, and I was mostly trying to understand the environment, but now that I understand the environment, I love it, because I think every time I show up, every single presentation gives me some kind of advice, feedback, or a gotcha about things that I could be doing or should have done or should not have done.
My name is Chris Sullivan. I am a small business owner. I'm a consultant for Sullivan & Associates Consulting, and I'm also a partner with the Torch Group. And I had a grand idea to present here one day, but after talking with Brian, he crushed my dreams and said, as I am a consultant, I am not scalable. So the reason I come is to meet you guys. It's partly because of the presentations, but I really like just getting to know new people. So I would love to talk with anybody who's interested in what I do or just wants to connect. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Nicole McClure-Curlbaum. I am a financial advisor with Merrill Lynch, but I also run a small business on the side. So I love coming here because I love hearing everybody's stories, and I like getting to tell mine occasionally. Every time that I'm here, people are warm, they're welcoming, they are excited to tell me what makes their product special, and I get to learn through you guys. So I love coming here. It's always inspiring, and I always feel like I take back some little gem where I can help a friend or I can connect to people. And I think that everyone here understands that value of being a connector for the community. 1 Million Cups does a great job of that.
Thank you, Nicole. Let's not forget to get your mugs from Courtney. Just a couple of quick announcements before we bring up Sam as well. The Sprint Accelerator at 210 West 19th is doing the co-working Wednesdays. They're doing it today, every Wednesday after 1 Million Cups. You can actually go there and share space and work. The Angel Series with the ECJC, Preparing for Due Diligence, is coming up on July 9th at 11 a.m. And we want to do a shout out to Park University. I understand that we've got two gentlemen here today, Jim and I think Eric, that are kicking off their alumni meetings, and they're doing it by doing the meetings at 1 Million Cups. I think it's the second Wednesday of every week. So we just want to do a quick shout out to Park University. So moving right along, we're going to bring up Sam from Missions Academy. And what Missions Academy is the resource for anyone who lives a lifestyle as a volunteer or missionary. Welcome, Sam.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Sam Werner, and today I have a proposition for you. It's a great opportunity. I'm going to tell you a few things about it before you sign up. First, you're going to have to relocate to a whole new city, whole new place that you've never been. You have to meet new people. You have to learn all the new streets. You're also going to have to learn the public transport. You're going to have to figure out a run as fast as you can to catch a bus and somehow get yourself inside of that bus that seats 25 people, but somehow there's 150 people in there. And you're also going to have to learn a new language. You have to learn to read and write. You have to make friends in this new language. You're going to have to buy your groceries in this new language. A lot of studying, a lot of extra work. Now, the chances are, when you're over there, you're going to get sick. And the health standards over there aren't as high as they are here. So you guys are going to start thinking about what kind of medicines you want to bring while you're over there. It's very, very important. And then you also have to set up a website. You have to set up email database. You have to set up a way to communicate to your friends and family what you're doing. You have to figure out all writing effective newsletters, be consistent, be diligent. Why? Because the biggest thing about this opportunity is you're not going to get paid 1 cent. It's 100% volunteer. Anyone interested? Hi, my name is Sam Werner, and Missions Academy is my company I'm starting. It's an online educational platform for missionaries. It's a website that's going to have how-to videos. It's going to have resources. It's going to have webinars, online courses, travel agents and insurance agents discounted just to missionaries and volunteers. You see, Missions Academy is something that was birthed out of my own experience as a missionary. That's my wife and I in Nepal. You see, I spent 10 years of my life either working here in America, busting my butt so I could go overseas and serve, or I was overseas, busting my butt. And there's a lot of added things to being a missionary. There's a lot of things they don't tell you. how to write effective newsletters, learning languages. I mean, there's just so many things. And I spent 10 years doing this. And that's why I want to do Missions Academy, because I figured out I wasn't alone in this struggle. There's other missionaries that are in the same spot. They don't know what they're doing. We don't know what we're doing. We're building the ship at sea, so to speak. You see, Missions Academy is going to solve this problem because there's such a lack of resources out there for missionaries. There's no place for them to go to. There's no phone number to call. They have no one helping them. Most of the time, they're just out there under the umbrella of some organization. And sometimes these organizations do a really good job at helping, but most of the time, they're just on their own. They're trying to figure it out. And so Missions Academy is going to be the single source destination for missionaries, trying to figure all these little new things. And what if in the business world, you had a place you could go to, a website that had Bill Gates, Larry Page, it had Mark Zuckerberg giving you advice on how to run your business, how to do practical things in your business that you just learn as you go in business. It would save you a lot of heartache. It would save you a lot of headaches. And that's what Missions Academy wants to do, is to solve the headaches and the heartaches that missionaries go through by giving them practical advice, a wealth of advice in one location. So in closing, just want to thank you for listening. And yeah, it was a pleasure to speak here today. So.
Thank you, Sam. We're going to actually go ahead and start with our panelists.
Sure, that was great. So a question for you. So where are you in the process right now?
Mm-hmm. So I have the platform about 75% set up, and in the process of marketing it to missionaries specifically. And I'm just getting ready to launch it in the fall, hopefully in September, to early adopters. So.
Are you requesting like subject matter experts to contribute to the different areas?
Yes.
And how are you reaching out to them?
Yeah, so a lot of what Missions Academy is going to be is videos. So I'm working with videographers to do these kinds of videos. We're going to bring missionaries in to do interviews or run the courses, those kinds of things. And then I'm also connecting with insurance agents and travel agents. I have one person that I'm working with so far in California who's going to help with a lot of those resources.
And last question, what's your revenue model?
As far as charging?
Yes.
Yeah, just it's going to be a monthly subscription, so somewhere between the $20 and $30 range. So it's you'll get access to everything that's on the platform.
So if I'm a missionary and I'm working for free, you're going to charge me $360 a year?
Yeah.
Okay.
But if it makes you a lot of money, then it's worth it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm having trouble trying to figure out what it is you're doing here. Like, there's obviously you see a need because you've lived it. But it's not translating into my dumb brain. Mm-hmm. So like, you're talking about how it's a platform for people to stay organized that are going on missions. Like, what does that mean exactly?
Okay, so say you're about to go on a missions trip. You're about to leave. You go on the website and you look in the category, preparing to leave. It's going to give you advice on things to pack, things like nutrition, things like medicines, those kinds of things that you don't think about. You need help kind of figuring those things out, and it's going to save big time headaches when you're over there because you'll forget all these things if you don't have that. Does that make sense?
So most missionary trips are through churches or through outreach organizations like a YWAM or something like that, right? So they have infrastructures like this, or they have planning and organization strategies, and so obviously you think that there's a gap, or is this for people that are not affiliated with those organizations?
Well, I spent 5 years with YWAM, and I spent with other organizations. I went overseas, and YWAM, a lot of places are good at providing some of that stuff, but you'd be surprised at how many missionaries don't know that. The organization doesn't tell them that. The organization, a lot of organizations, even in YWAM, don't have the resources, the preparation packages and the how-tos and all those kinds of things. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so is there, I guess I'm finding it hard to believe that there's not like another like web resource out there that has a lot of this information.
There's a lot of different places you can go to. There's like blogs that people run, and so it's just kind of a random topic every week kind of thing. But there's no practical side of it. Like if you want to know what medicines to bring, if you want language learning tips for a specific country, if you want to know the cultural things not to do in India, then you're going to have a hard time kind of researching those things. I'm speaking from my own experience. Like for instance,
That's a better value proposition, by the way.
What's that?
Talking about how, hey, you're getting ready to take a mission trip to Haiti. Guess what? Don't say thumbs up to anyone because you'll get beat up on the street. So like stuff like that, that in the kind of conversation about having a mission trip, that seems to be a much more effective value proposition than trying to say, well, this is a place to get organized before you go.
Got a question here in the front.
Hi, great product. I wish this was around when I was considering being a missionary. My question is there a reason why you're narrowing your segment to just missionaries and not people in the Peace Corps or doing disaster work?
The reason it's for missionaries, it's for volunteers as well. But I guess I focus more on missions and missionaries because it's going to be more Christian-based, biblical-based kind of thing. So it's going to have that perspective.
Got a question in the back there.
I'm kind of having a hard time putting my mind around what exactly it is that you offer too. You made a comment that the $360 a year would not be that much. It could help them make money. Can you expound on that a little bit? How can your services help missionaries to make money?
Yeah. So a lot of missionaries, they use Gmail for basic sending out newsletters, or they don't know specifically what to communicate when they're sending out newsletters. So if you had someone that gave you tips, not to just beg for money, not to just say, oh, please give me money, I'm a poor missionary. That puts a lot of people off. You're not going to get a lot of money. So, suggesting things, just trying to get people along with what you're doing, practical things like just casting your vision, saying, I would really love for you to hear my story and what I'm doing. That invites people into what you're doing. So that would ultimately help you get more support, help you get people to invest in what you're doing. So that's what I'm saying when you're going to get more money from subscribing.
Go ahead, Mark.
So yeah, I have a follow-on question. So I'm still stuck on the $30 a month kind of thing. So have you thought about the idea of providing a website for free where you get subject matter experts feeding into it and people reaching into it as well, so that you can get contributors from all over, and then potentially monetizing it through advertising or connections with travel agencies or airlines, or hey, you're going to be in Malaysia, why not stop at the Hilton in Kuala Lumpur and spend the night kind of thing, as opposed to charging the people who seem least likely to be able to afford it?
Yeah, that's a possibility. The reason why I would charge is because in missions, especially in volunteerism, if you don't pay for something, you don't value it. So if there
Department and get that same information about, I can call the State Department and get the same information about Nepal.
True, but you're not going to get specific towards missionaries. So that's kind of why I'm thinking to charge for it, to bring value to it. You want to pay for something, you want something in return. If it's just out there and it's just kind of doing its thing, you're not going to think about it as much. So that's why I want people to invest into it so they can remember it and use it more. So
we've got a question up front here, Sam.
So first, just a clarification. As far as the videos, that's part of the paid subscription model, right? No one would be able to see those videos without paying. Okay. So then my questions are around marketing. As I've seen a lot of these kind of informational resource hubs come up, subscription models, that kind of thing, they really try to, with their marketing, position themselves as an authority figure, as the go-to person. You'd be the go-to guy on missions. So from a marketing standpoint, kind of what we're talking about here, what is your plan in terms of blogs, podcasts, in terms of free content that people could get that will put you top of mind and will then bring them into your world?
From a marketing standpoint, I mean, there's going to be a lot of videos. I did a video shoot a few weeks ago, so I'll open some of those up, snippets to those, just kind of teasers offering advice for some of the questions that missionaries have. So that kind of thing. And then just connecting with other mission organizations, and just making it aware of what's going on, because you'd be surprised how many people want something like this. So that's kind of the start of where I'm going for marketing.
Question, back left, or back right, sorry.
Hi, I just wanted to see if you had given any thought to a different type of revenue model. Perhaps because missionaries aren't making any money and they're communicating back to churches or the organizations that sent them, what's going on with that mission, and that's actually how they're getting their support. Perhaps they don't need to pay, but what if you began to reach out also to corporate travelers, business travelers, etc., had them pay and accepted some advertising to bring in your revenue while being able to offer free services to people who are missionaries? Have you considered that?
No, that's a great idea. That's really good. Just also partnering with churches and kind of thing. Maybe the missionary can't afford it, but the church can. That's sending them. So that's a great idea.
Got a question to your right.
Yeah, I really enjoyed your presentation, and I applaud the spirit of your project here. My question is if you're going to open it up to every country immediately, or if you're going to target a few. And also, I may be able to help you produce a video, so maybe we can chat afterwards.
Good, let's talk. So at the start, I'm just going to open up in America and the UK, because Western missionaries are more likely to pay. In the future, missionaries that are in some of the other countries that don't have as much money, and then I'll offer a lower fee. So to start in America and the UK, and then go on from there.
Question in the back.
Yep.
Hi. So there's a lot of questions here about your revenue model. There's a lot of websites out there. I can think of Simon, the guy that does Start with the Why, like what your mission is in life. But a lot of his content, there's little segments like 30 seconds of the video or something like that to get you involved and get you interested. And then, so a lot of the content, there's like a freemium model. So you get some of the content free, and then there's a premium for really the great stuff like how not to get killed in Haiti or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's a great idea. I mean, open it up to a certain level and kind of offer a premium. So.
Got another question here on your right.
Yep.
Samuel, I'm very familiar with what you are going through, having been in the same position as you a few years back. I also see the potential with going to the organization itself that is sending the missionary. So are you going for more the individual kind of sign-up contract, or have you thought about going to the church or the nonprofit that is sending the people out to maybe have like an overall contract that they can offer this service to somebody going out?
Yeah, so starting with missionaries, we're going to start there, and then, like you said, I want to move to churches because churches send teams, every church sends at least one team overseas a year. Some of the bigger churches are just constantly sending them. And they're sending, younger kids that don't know how to deal with cultures, and, maybe some quick tips on languages when you're in a certain country. So, are targeting churches, and then also the organizations, like you said, that's kind of the progression that I'm looking for. So, yeah, that's great.
Question here.
So my question for you is, how are you generating content? Obviously, your travel is limited, and it always will be. So how do you provide that expert advice for places that you haven't been, and how are you going to expand that?
Okay, so there's a lot of places in America that missionaries come to, and Kansas City is one of them. So I want to go to these places that a lot of missionaries are in transition, they're moving, so I want to go to these places and film them, ask them the questions, and then that's the way I'm going to generate the content and get it unique to each country.
Got a question here in the back.
Hi there. I think that you have a great emotional play here, right? You're helping tons of people. You're helping them connect with foundational ideas about what is good, not only for me as the missionary, but also for the community and the international concerns. But if you can back that up with data, really drilling down into your segments, I think you can be so powerful. Each segment that, you've kind of talked about lots of different pieces of your audience, they're all going to want to be talked to in a different way. Maybe that's social media for young people. Maybe it's through the organization or the church for someone who's 35 to 45. So I think really piecing out who your audience is, what are their needs, and how do they want to be inspired is going to be central to your success.
Yes, yeah, thank you.
Question here in the middle.
Hi, I like your, on this idea. It's by the way, I'm visiting from Japan, and I'm quite impressed that your presentation is not just looking after money, but I think your motivation is really pure and genuine to help your people like you in the future. I think I involved in a environmental project before, and then I had a similar dilemma. Environment is very different, very important, but environment protection doesn't generate money at all. It's not doesn't fit to the commercial model, but more for the non-profit organization. I think in your project, are you really sure that you want to build this idea on a commercial company, or you want to go for more non-profit type of organization, just to satisfy your your ambition to helping the people?
Yeah, that's a good question. After my wife and I came back a couple years ago from Nepal, we started a nonprofit, and there's a lot of extra added things in a nonprofit than a for-profit. So that's kind of why I'm looking more towards this side, is the for-profit, just to see what it's like on this side, because the nonprofit, there's a lot more challenges. So yeah, that answers your question.
Question back left.
Follow on to that question then, what's the market look like for you? I mean, how many US and UK missionaries go out every year? And what's the upside for your marketability?
Well, there's about 400,000 Christian workers in different denomination missionaries overseas in foreign countries right now. And then on top of that, there's 5.5 million Christian workers. So that would be people in the churches. So that's kind of the market that I'm looking at right now.
Question for you over here on the right. Can you tell us a little bit more about, I noticed like within your website, your mission statement, that you talk about volunteers and missionaries, right? Is there a difference for your organization?
I mean, it just depends on what the person's looking for. So sometimes people are looking more for a spiritual answer, so they'll ask those kinds of questions. Sometimes it's more practical, and it's going to be more on the volunteer side.
So the second question for you there is, do you have any, like in building your business, do you have any relationships with like big universities, for example? And I tell you the reason I asked that question because I just had a family member graduate from Nebraska University, and as a part of their graduation, they took a whole team to like Guatemala on a missions trip. It's something you had to do, right? So do you have like any relationships with universities that you know are going to be sending groups out to different countries that maybe you can somehow build a partnership with?
No, that's a great idea. I don't have any current ones, but I'm working mostly with missions organizations, but that's a great idea for universities.
Got a question in the back?
Hey, obviously for you to start charging money, you need to have a good quality content. How long you think you're gonna have videos, whatever you offering for start charging?
Are you asking how many videos?
How many you think you need for having good quality content so you can feel comfortable to start charging for subscriptions or whatever you are offering?
Yeah, so as far as videos, I'm looking between 40 and 50 videos before I started it in September. And the people that are going to be the early access, the beta testers, they're going to have access to it. So over the course of September, October, November, December, I'm going to add a lot more videos. So when it's open in the first of the year, then there'll be a lot of videos. There'll be a lot more content for the people subscribing. So initially, 40 to 50 videos.
Back left.
So you've talked a lot about getting people over to the country. What's going to continue people signing up for $20, $30 a month over a long period of time? What kind of content are you going to provide for them?
Yeah, that'll be a lot of the language learning stuff, and that'll be a lot of the effective newsletter type stuff. I mean, there's going to be things to, asking different sources of writing newsletters, those kinds of things. So more on the longevity, avoiding burnout, how to stay practically healthy overseas, those kinds of things. So stuff for the long-term missionary.
Question on your right.
It's more of a comment. I totally get what you're doing, and I just wanted to say, like, I'm curious what other people with mission experience would think, because I think it's maybe one of those problems where if you've not been through that process, it seems like something you would instantly get if you've actually been through that process. So it's more of a comment than a question. But.
Thank you.
Okay, I think we are ready for our final question. What can we as a community do to help you?
I think one of the best things is connect me with your churches and your pastors and help get the word out.
Well, I'm sure the audience knows a few of them, right? Okay, thank you, Sam.
Thank you.
Once again, I want to thank you for coming out. We hope to see you all next week. Thank you to the panel and to our two presenters today. If anybody would like to apply, please go to our website and hit the apply button so you can present. Thanks.